What's up, guys? We are back with another wave of Gundam Universe, and it's been a little while since one of these, right? I think the last wave was Sandrock's wave from, I don't know, a ways back in 2021. But it's been a little while, and I am really excited to take a look at this guy. We are, of course, going to start with the always present Gundam Wing figure that is in these waves. So we're taking a look at Heavyarms. We are one away from finishing the core team. So Heavyarms is second to last when it comes to rounding out the core wing suits. We've of course got him here in our standard Universe style packaging. It's very much themed to the suit, so you've got a really nice piece of artwork of the Heavyarms on the front, a sort of oddly shaped window showing him there, and then you've got a nice red and white motif, product shot on one side, name running down the other, and then the back of the box showcases how he moves, some of the stuff he comes with, as well as a cross-sell for the rest of the wave. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Gundam Heavyarms from Gundam Wing, making almost the full team from Gundam Wing. So we're getting close, we're almost there. We've got the Shenlong to go, and then if they start going down endless waltz roads, you know, maybe we can beef up the ranks. But I'm really happy to get this guy. You know, we got the Sandrock already, so I got the pinnacle for me when it comes to Gundam Wing stuff personally. But I love this suit. I like its design, I love its colors, and I love its weaponry too. So there's a lot to like about this one. He's very similar to every other figure in this line. He does feel a little more in line with the Sandrock in terms of articulation, which is a good thing. But he's also got its own quirks too, because of course there's a lot of things that are going to move that wouldn't move normally on any other figure just because of what he is. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. We've got a head that can look up a little bit. Actually, that's pretty good. He can look down a little bit. You've got some tilt, and then you've got rotation. You do have to watch like the Vulcans on the side there. He's going to rotate. I mean, that's far enough, but you do have to sort of play to get it to go all the way around. That looks a little janky. You've got arms that go out at the shoulder, of course. The shoulder pads do move to help accommodate some of that movement. You've got rotation. There's not really any kind of butterfly joint specifically in there, but the way these guys are constructed, there is forward and backward shimmy. So it works like one, but it's not technically one, if that makes sense. We've got bicep swivel. We've got our elbows, which go about that far. So more than 90, not super, super far, but more than 90. And then we've got ball peg wrists. So up and down, in and out, and then around. One of the big areas that these guys are almost always limited in is the torso, and the Heavyarms is really no different. So he goes backwards slightly. Forward crunch isn't, I mean, I say crunch, forward sort of bend really, is nice. It's better than some. It's still not perfect. This is a place that I really wish they could try to fix some stuff. There's not really any tilt. And then rotation is really only this sort of shimmy. You've got to sort of work it around the plates down there because it's not articulated at this section. It's articulated up inside the torso. Legs will go out about this far. You got to watch out. They are ball pegs. So if you go too far, they're going to pop off. They're going to go right back on, but you got to watch it. They kick forward about this far. And then this is something that's really similar with a lot of these figures because of the skirts. So you do have to move these around. They will, of course, go up and down, and they shimmy around. You do have a twist up there. The legs go back about this far. It's basically a single joint. And then you've got rotation down at the ankles. That it only goes so far because of the guard down here, but it is rotation. There is a little bit of a rocker. And then you've got backwards and forwards movement. Now, this is the same thing. See, it's going to pop off if you go too far. There is kind of like a double movement at the foot when you hinge it, because there is a hinge up inside the ankle. The actual joint itself is hinged at the top of the ankle, and then there's a ball peg. So it affords a little bit better movement forward than backward. But again, you know, just like any other ball peg kind of joint, if you push it too far, it is going to pop off. So, you know, one of the limitations with this line is usually articulation. He's not too bad. He's not as good as the Sandrock, but I think he's pretty close. And the Sandrock is kind of my bar when it comes to the better ones for the line. He does, however, have other stuff. So, of course, you know, if you're familiar with the Heavyarms, you know that he opens up, basically. So a lot of other stuff is articulated. We've got hinges up here on the shoulder guns. The chest is articulated to open up. And then you've got the missile pods down here on the shins that are all open up as well. So you do have all of this extra articulation. It's not going to help when it comes to moving him around, but it is going to help when it comes to posing him. And all of them have little pegs, so they will sort of seat themselves back together, and they aren't going to go flopping around and flying out. So he moves pretty well. I mean, very standard for the line, but maybe a little bit better than standard. I'd say he's probably just around or a little bit lower than the Sandrock is in terms of comparisons. Now, aesthetically, I'm really happy with this guy. And that's generally my take on this line, is that I really like the way these look. And I know that that's going to be my particular opinion, because you can go a lot of different ways when it comes to Gundam stuff. Because more often than not, if you're buying Gundam, figures of any kind, it's going to be a model kit figure. So it's going to be something that you put together, likely something that you might panel line. So these guys, in terms of the Universe line, the way I always describe it is they're factory fresh. So if you wanted to panel line this thing, you could. I don't, but I do like the way they look. The colors are all, for the most part, it's almost always just molded plastic. So it's all really super saturated and vibrant, and I really do like that, because again, it looks like this thing is just brand new, first mission for the Heavyarms. It's ready to go. So the whites are all super bright and vibrant. The sculpt on it is really nice. He's got those big kind of like tree trunk legs that go down to the big monster feet. A very hallmarky kind of thing when it comes to Gundam. You've got the various yellows and oranges and red tones that kind of overlap, and then you've got the white on the chest. Of course, there is sculpt on the inside of all the panels here. So you've got the missile pods, you've got the chest Gatling guns, things like that. There's even like a little hit of paint right there. So it's not devoid of paint, it's just mostly molded plastic. We've got the little blue V's on the chest as well. Jetpack on the back, of course. This is the standard Heavyarm, so it's not the one fitted for space flight, but it's the one that you see in the early parts of Gundam Wing, the first half of the show, really. So if you're familiar with that, you know what to expect here. But I think the colors look great. Hits of orange and yellow pop against the red. And then, of course, the little white accents on the arms. And then, of course, the torso really break him up from being just white on the bottom, red on the top. So it does break him up just enough. We do have his knife on the right arm. Part of me feels like this is a little big. And I'm not sure if I'm correct in my thinking. I'm probably not. But it feels like it's a little too thick to me. Otherwise, it does look good. There is a nice sheen to that, so a nice metallic, and it's very tight. I'm not saying that in a negative way. Like, this is a tight joint here, so it does not swivel without you wanting to do it, which is a good thing. So it's not going to go flipping and flopping all over the place. It's going to be out if you want it, and he can throw down melee style that way. Now, of course, you do have your head sculpt up here, which, well, it's a Gundam head, so it's very Gundam-esque. You've got your V, you've got your, pseudo Gundam beard, and then you've got your green eyes in there with all the antenna on the back. So he does have a lot of stuff jutting out the back of his head. All of the antenna. You've got the yellow V and, of course, more red on top. So I think he looks great. The head is nicely sized. Colors pop. Everything's really bright and vibrant. Little hits of paint, just enough, just to bring him out. And then again, it very much goes with the design of the suit. So reds, and then a little bit of yellow, and then a bunch of white to break him up. So I think he looks great. I've really been happy with the wing figures in particular when it comes to their design and their translation into figures. These suits are very toyetic in many ways. I don't say that word very often, but these definitely work. I mean, they're big and chunky when it comes to the legs. They're a little more slender up top. And then, of course, they've got a lot of bright and vibrant colors. And this guy's probably the poster child for the bright, vibrant colors when it comes to wing stuff. Oranges, yellows, reds, all very super saturated, very, very bright and flashy and very toyish. So I'm really happy with this guy. I think he looks great. He's going to go really, really nicely alongside the rest of them, and specifically the Sandrock. Now, as far as accessories goes, this line is not known for having tons of stuff. Some have a decent bit, some have very little. This guy falls sort of in between because he doesn't have a lot usually. Like, he really only has one thing when it comes to his normal accessory loadout, but it's a big thing. So to start with, we get some extra hands, so let's go the easy route first. So he's got fists on him in the box, and then you get a set of what are basically gripping hands. This is a right trigger finger hand, but this is a left gripping hand, so you get gripping hands to switch out. Now, of course, Heavyarms' big thing is his heavy arms. So he's got the massive Gatling gun with the movable grip. So this is a separate piece. So, of course, it can come out if you want. If you don't like the way it looks, take it off. But then you can use this to have the right arm hold the gun. You've got the shield here, which is done up in red. Looks great, really bright and vibrant. This piece in the middle here will move. Let me take the shield off for a second. So you can swivel this around to help better position it. And then the shield can go back on. There's a peg there. You've also got slots here on the side because it can be stored on his backpack. So you can do one of those because, of course, that's where it gets stored when it's not in use, so he can have it on his back. And it holds really well. It looks good, too. It doesn't throw him off balance either. I've had no issues. You know, I see I just popped it on there and he was fine. But, of course, you know, what it's meant to be for is to go on his arm. So what you do is you take off his arm, and then this will just slide on, and then there is a peg in there, and you can pop it on, and you want to have the grip positioned correctly, of course. Pop that on, and then you are good to go, and he's got this on there. Now, of course, you know, this thing changes in the show. So at one point, you know, it replaces the arm. It doesn't just go over the arm, it replaces it, and there's a beam saber in there. This is not that. This is the regular original version, and I think it looks pretty good. It's humongous, too. I mean, it's basically as big as the figure itself. Of course, it has the shield on it, so if you want the shield look, you've got the Gatling gun also. You can store it on his back. You can have a two-handed pose. So there's a lot of possibilities when it comes to this thing. It is very, you know, plain in terms of some of its deco. I think maybe the gun could use a little bit of a wash in some ways. You know, normally I wouldn't say that because, you know, I just think that they look good, sort of super clean. But this looks a little too clean to me when it comes to that gray. Maybe hit it with a little black wash would be cool. But otherwise, this is really nice. And of course, you know, like I said, you swivel this around and you can have this sort of fold out, and then he can hold it once you've got one of those gripping hands on if he needs to be kind of reared back using a two-handed pose. Otherwise, keep it on there, or you can put it on his back. So there are some options when it comes to this guy, despite the fact that he only has, like, you know, one quote-unquote real accessory. Hands are hands. But this is the big thing. And like I said, it's almost as big as he is. So there's a lot of accessory, just not a huge number of accessories, if that makes any sense. So yeah, overall, this guy's pretty solid. I am, admittedly, a very big fan of this line. So, you know, I kind of bias myself when it comes to some of these because I really like Gundam action figures. I've always loved model kits, but I really love Gundam figures. You know, going back to the MSIA days, Gundam Fixed Figuration, Robot Spirits. But seeing Gundam figures back at retail again does something for me on just a very nostalgic level too. And you know that's a big thing for me as well. But these are really nice, fun figures. And this is, well, it's a Gundam Wing figure. So you can't really go wrong there. They make for great toys. And this guy's going to go really nicely alongside the Wing, alongside Death Scythe, alongside Sandrock. And then in the next wave, I think, right? The Shenlong. So I'm really happy to have this guy. He's very much rounding out a team to finish out something that has started, well, a while back at this point in this line. So this is definitely one I've been looking forward to, and I think they delivered pretty well on him. So that's going to do it for this look at the Gundam Universe Heavyarms. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.